Hello and welcome to JagaVision. We're on our episode 124. That's 124 weeks of tea. Talking to people making tea, industry folks, people who are just enthusiasts or just interesting topics. I'm Jared Nyberg. I'm co-owner of JagaSilk. We're here in Victoria, BC. You can check us out on jagasilk.com. You can check out old episodes by going onto our YouTube channel, and you can click subscribe if you like what you're watching. And you'll know when we go live. And you can always join us in the chat and ask us questions, and you can ask questions of the guests. And we just have a little bit too much fun. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about culinary and ceremonial matcha. We get asked this question a lot, actually, like what is the difference between culinary matcha and ceremonial matcha? You see this around in the market, and I wanted to answer that question. Today, though, I am joined by our honorary co-host. She joins us quite regularly. She's a wonderful musician, Sherri Anne from Sister Speak. She's going to be joining us on her way to Costa Rica to tour over there with her project Sister Speak Music. And you need to go check her out. So Sherri Anne is on the call. Are you there?
Hello, yes, I am here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing really good. It's a good day. We're just it's a little bit of a whirlwind day, but we're figuring it out. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just have my little tea travel pouch here.
Amazing. Okay,
So,
that's awesome.
should I open it up?
Okay, yeah, let's see it.
Okay, so little travel strainer.
Okay, travel strainer, amazing.
Travel spoon,
Yeah,
olive lid.
very important. Very important. Yeah.
Travel scale, accidentally took from mom's house.
Okay.
Travel semi B. Oh my gosh, can't wait. In a tin, matcha.
Very cool. Okay.
And this is a kind of sad, but please forgive me. I have another whisk that's in great condition.
Uh-oh.
But look what happened to my travel whisk. I'm so sorry.
Ooh. Yeah, well, you know, it happens. It happens. Yeah, it's must be one of the trials and tribulations of your journeys. That's pretty funny.
But I still have half of it, and believe it or not, it still works really well.
Okay. No, that's great.
But I feel really bad because the art is so beautiful on these whisks, and I just didn't protect it properly on the trip.
Makes sense.
Actually, like 8 of the trips. No, like 10 trips.
10 trips. Okay. But you know what? It's good. It's working out. We're able to make matcha, and that's what's important. And it's a step up, you could say, from this idea of just I don't know, making it in a jar, right? Or I actually thought you were going to bust out one of those metal whisks. Or there's people who have
Yeah.
those latte frothers and stuff, and they whisk them up in the cup. And,
Oh, yes.
And that's great. It's very it's okay, but I'm a big fan of that bamboo flavor. We've been talking to the person who cuts our whisks. We're trying to get a hishaku made without the handle, because I think that would be so cool. Do you know what a hishaku is?
No,
Okay,
I don't know. I'd love to know.
hishaku you see used regularly in the tea ceremony, and it's like a beautiful ladle like that.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Okay, and then you fill that up about 80% full by dipping it into the water, and that's what you put onto the matcha. And I really think that just the fact that the water is touching the wood makes a big difference for the flavor. I think you get a really nice flavor from like a kind of a hint or a whisper of bamboo that's going to make the matcha taste that much more authentic. And I think we talk a lot about say the unglazed clay transforming the sort of or charging the water so that it tastes different for making teas. You remember some of those episodes we've done. I really think the bamboo does something too. I think there's like an interaction with the water that just makes it that much more delicious. And what's nice is it's really hard to get bamboo that hasn't been sprayed. But what's really cool about the
I
Kubos
know.
is that they don't spray their bamboo. So we have unsprayed, properly seasoned bamboo for our whisks, which I believe you're using one of our whisks. So yeah, it works out.
Yes. So how does what do they spray bamboo with?
Herbicides, pesticides. Another one is anti molding agents, formaldehyde, all sorts of fun things.
Oh
So
gosh,
there's quite an issue with things just really not, yeah, tasting that good. So, or sorry,
that goes
entering
into
the body very good because of the contaminants and stuff. So we get really into
wow.
trying to source bamboo that's, yeah, not do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I wanted to talk to you about culinary and ceremonial matcha. So I don't know if you can see this, okay? But let's see the. I know the audience can't right now, so just gonna switch.
I can see it.
I'm gonna switch over so that they can see it too, and I'm going to change our layout here. That should do good. Yeah. Okay. Good. 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 And. Okay, so the essentially what we have going on is I have a side by side here of the culinary matcha here and what you could call ceremonial matcha here. So do you ever see this? Do you ever wonder what they're talking about when folks are saying, "Hey, here's a culinary or a cafe matcha, and here's a ceremonial matcha"? What is your sort of understanding when, if you've come across this language?
Oh me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. Well, typically the ceremonial matcha tastes a lot better. It's fresher,
Mm-hmm.
and the culinary matcha is more for like baking. It usually has a little bit of a. Oh yeah, I can see it. I mean, I'm guessing the one with the less vibrant colors, culinary grade.
Yeah. Well, here I'll show you another one too. This one's fun. I don't know if you see that. Okay.
Oh wow, that definitely got to be culinary grade. Yeah.
You know, so I busted it out because
Is it
essentially,
not?
well, so I'm gonna basically I did an article recently on the difference between matcha and green tea, and I said there is no difference because matcha is a green tea, right? And it's a similar theme here is that ceremonial matcha doesn't actually exist. It's not like a thing that you see
Oh, it's just fresh.
in Japan. Um, but culinary matcha, on the other hand, you do see on the market. Um, and I'm sorry, just one moment. Um, you do see culinary matcha on the market in Japan, and I think what happened is that people were trying to differentiate between sort of this race to the cheapest, bulkiest matcha that you can get, and so there was an idea to differentiate in the North American market by calling matcha that is not culinary, that is, you know, that company's kind of higher quality product, ceremonial. But we get asked this a lot, which is, you know, which one is your ceremonial grade matcha? And I'm always like, well, all matchas could be used in the tea ceremony. You know, I don't want to be difficult, but
Hmm.
like it is
Yeah.
a language that's been kind of invented. So
Mm.
that being said, I thought it'd be interesting to just showcase an example of, you know, this is a matcha that we use in our green tea chai. And we actually made our green tea chai, our matcha chai, with a matcha of the caliber next to it. And it wasn't as ideal for us because we put sugar in our green tea chai. And you need to have that acid and bitters to counteract the sugar so that you can actually taste the tea. If you're making yourself, for example, a
Mm.
latte, sometimes people are like, "Oh, I'm making a latte. I'm gonna ruin it anyways. Why would I use a good matcha?" Or I'm making cookies. You know, I'm gonna ruin it anyways. Why would I make a good matcha? Or I'm making ice cream. I'm gonna ruin it anyways. Why would I use a good matcha? And what's unfortunate about the really like the culinary grade matchas is that they're often not actually matcha. They'll be micro milled sencha, and of course to be a matcha, right? You got to be shade growing, deveining, de-stemming, right? And then you're going to be doing like
Mm.
I don't know. Do you have any old matcha there, by the way? That would be kind of
I
no.
just finished it. I wish. I mean, I just finished it
Okay,
like last week.
you know what old matcha tastes like, right? And
Yeah, it's very bitter,
it is, right? And because it loses the umami itself starts to degrade, and
but it's
you,
like cacao, like cacao,
yeah,
or
cacao.
cocoa
You also
powder.
see like an oxidation of the cacao butter that's in your cacao, right? And you see a oxidation, and we talk about oxidation when we're processing teas, but it's a production oxidation is how I like to differentiate versus a post production oxidation, which is a storage problem. So
Ah,
you want to not oxidize your teas further than what they were oxidized in to achieve their particular moment. Um, I'm I'm going on a tangent, but essentially, when you're making an oolong, for example, you want to actually borrow the power of oxidation to transform the tea into something more fruity and
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah. But while we're talking, why don't we make some tea so that we can.
yeah. I just opened up the semi B. I just put it in the tin, and it's like chocolate.
It's like
It was like
chocolate. Okay,
chocolate.
amazing. Why don't you?
Gosh.
It's a very good. Now that is definitely so. So they in tea ceremony, you often see people, and I think this is actually a more relevant way of talking about, say, ceremonial matcha is it good for usucha? Is it good for koicha? And I don't know if you've ever had koicha, Sherri Anne. You have your scale.
Yeah, I think I've had it.
Have you?
Yeah, we've made it before. It's like super strong, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Okay, you have had it. Of course, you've had it. I think we've on a few episodes. We've like with some hardcore
Yeah.
matcha fans. We've gone into the koicha realm. That Samidori blend share is like built for koicha.
Oh,
And what's cool
okay.
about koicha is you can start with koicha and then you can turn it into an usucha. So you could do like, 13 grams. You remember Mock and Mariel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mock always gets a koicha. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, and for those watching, Mock is a regular here at the JagaSilk Tea Bar, and when Sherri Anne was here in Victoria, she had the chance to meet Mock and his um, lovely partner, Marielle, who's no longer with us. Rest in peace.
She has transitioned to the heavens.
Yes. But what I would love you to do is to make that
Special
into a
lady.
koicha by putting 2 grams of tea through a sieve into a bowl, and then
Okay.
oh, but you don't have boiling water, so this will be interesting.
I don't.
Yeah,
It's gonna be cold water. I'm sorry, because I'm in an Airbnb and
it's
there's
okay.
no kettle.
Yeah, it's all good. What you could
Oh,
do,
just on a side note, sorry, but Muriel named the musical tea series.
she did. Yeah, musical tea. What
Didn't
we call it was
I don't know if she
invented by.
knows it.
I think I told her. Yeah,
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
the last
Oh,
day the last day we saw her. So yeah.
oh, that's special.
So what I thought would be interesting also is to do one of these tests. But I don't know if you remember this unit. But
Oh,
this is a uh, grind gauge, and this lets us know how much how many microns the tea is when we go to test out just how fine it is. So what I'm
ah,
gonna do is I'm gonna do something different
oh,
than you. Okay, so you're right now. What I'd love you to do is to just do a 2 gram dose of tea and only 10
okay.
or 12 grams of cold water on top of your tea, and then just gently work it in with the whisk.
Wow, could I make it a half batch, like a 1 gram, just because it's a little bit late over here?
Of course. Yeah. And what I'd love you to do is just take a sip of it like that, and then add more water and whisk it again.
I just kid you not. I gotta show you this. I just did a perfect 1 gram, 1 spoon.
1.0 grams, and you have one of those little
Like,
mini scales. Like that's amazing.
I don't know. If you can see it?
Those are the
Is
best
it?
moments. Those are the best moments. Oh yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, 1.0
Oh,
grams.
I just
Yeah.
bumped it. I just bumped it to 0.9. It went to 0.9, but
You're
I
gonna
just
be okay. That's like you can call
spooned
that
it in. That's
barometric pressure. This scale here. This is from Asaya. This one actually adjusts for barometric pressure. Isn't that awesome?
wow. I'm in a different place, and my tar was 1 gram here, than it was where I just was in the mountains.
That's hilarious.
I'm at sea level now.
Of course you are. Okay, so it makes a difference.
En route to Costa Rica soon.
I'm very stoked for you.
You love it out there.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. That was a
So
very...
how much water? Oh, sorry, what was that?
Oh, you just said you love it out there. It was like very, very American. Love
Just
it.
a little further from Tampa.
Tampa. Further from Tampa.
Yeah. Do you know how much I should? Yeah, how much water should I put with the
10 grams, maybe
1
12.
gram?
Actually, you could go as much as 15 grams.
Okay, I might do a little bit more than
I want you to just, you're going to add afterwards.
15.
So just do,
Oh,
wait a
okay.
minute, you're doing a half dose, so 7.5 grams. Half it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just working in, what I'm doing is I made a really thick matcha dose here. And then I'm actually going to go and I'm going to take that and I'm going to
With the
run it on
whisk.
my grind gauge. And
Am I doing whisking it?
we do this when we're milling because we, yeah, you're going to whisk it. We do this when we're milling because we need to be able to prove to ourselves that the tea is 10 microns. So this is a tea that I have tested before, so I'm very confident that we're going to be okay. But you see what I'm doing is I'm taking a thick sludge, I'm running it over this stainless steel grind gauge, and that's gonna let me know that, you know, we're looking at, I don't know if that's very visible. Hold on.
Am I supposed to try this?
Yeah, I want you to try it for sure. So, you know, those watching,
whoa.
that is definitely, say this is 0, 2.55, 7.5, 10. So our goal is that this area that's saturated is under 10, and it's definitely under 10. I don't know if that's visible where you guys are, but this is the 10 mark. And where the color gets saturated is under that. So this area where it's very light, it's definitely, the specks are not fine enough to be in this realm of like 2.5 microns, which would be crazy anyway, because I don't know if everybody watching knows what a micron is, but it's basically it's 1/1000th of a millimeter. So 10 micron is 1/100th of a millimeter. So that's a really fine spec, and this is how we can prove that we're milling to the correct amount. So I'm gonna do the same test with a culinary matcha. And so when I bring in a culinary matcha, it's sold to me as a culinary matcha, but again, is it a real thing? Honestly, it's not. It's just, this is just a company that I deal with that selling me an organic product that is actually, when I was buying something back in the day, it was sold to me as an industrial matcha from a different organic company. And then I was sold culinary matcha. And then this one just has like they just give it a name. And they're growing it organically, and they're just using older cultivars, and it doesn't have a lot of umami, and the color is not really there. And so we kind of internally refer to it as culinary matcha. It's not something that I sell. I just use it in the green tea chai, because if you ever use this for anything else, it's just not going to work. So I don't have it as a product available for kind of folks. You can easily get your own sort of culinary matcha by just looking this up, buying big bags of matcha on some sort of random site, and it may be oxidized, which isn't going to be ideal. So really, it's better to get it fresh. So that does make a big difference. But I think that sometimes you just see people selling their good matcha that's gone old as culinary matcha. So. How's it taste?
It's really intense. I like it. I'd love to add some more water to it.
Yeah, I know. It's meant to be tiny sips, and you would share it around if you had a group. You wouldn't actually do really more than one sip, and you take a tiny sip and you share it around. And then once you've shared it a bit, then you would add more water to it, and you'd whisk it again and turn it into what's called usucha.
So how much water now?
I would add probably a good 40 grams, maybe. Depending on how much you sipped.
Barely any.
Okay, well then you can get, about 40 grams should be fine, because you did a half dose, so, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do one more measurement here.
43 grams.
And really, for those watching, what Sherri Anne is demonstrating here is the difference, the different options you have when you're making your matcha to create either a koicha or an usucha. And really, after you have a koicha, you would normally dilute it a little bit more and have it as an usucha. And usui literally means thin. Cha is tea, usu cha. And then koicha is thick tea. And that's why you have this like strong syrupy flavor.
This is really good. Is that usucha? I'm gonna try it.
Cool.
I'm gonna have my other half here try it if you want.
It's nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yummy. It's so good.
what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to
Ow.
test out this.
Sorry, can I say something quickly?
Sure. What's up?
On a side note, I'm having to talk a little bit quietly. And so I feel like my voice is really low.
Oh. That's all good.
As I'm talking quietly.
No, I think it's working out. It's working out.
It's funny.
I just so I make a sludge by putting 1 gram of tea into 5 grams of water.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a koicha. And then I take that and I take I basically take an eyedropper. One of these guys here. And I drop that solution that I've made onto the grind gauge. So here I'm
Like a scientist.
There you go. And so now I'm gonna do the same thing I just did, but this time with the Culinary matcha.
Whoa.
So that's still pretty fine. Like that streak you saw there is because I just made I didn't do a very good job, but like that you can see it kind of still under 10 microns. So this, even though this isn't, the same quality per se as what you're drinking, and the one that I had on the right here, it's still a decent enough grind. And that's interesting for me to know, because I didn't mill this one myself. I don't really mill the Culinary ones myself. I get it milled by the farms that I buy from.
Ah.
Yeah, and this one's Mr. Hayashi. We do get a milled hojicha from him as well. If you ever go to the amazing Brentwood in I think it's in Surrey, you can go to Soon Coffee, and they're a kind of a sister company to Monogram, and they sell our hojicha in a really nice drink. And also, if you go to Monogram's University District location, you can get it there too. And this is the same farmer who does this Culinary matcha for us. Okay.
Cool.
So now I have 1 gram, and I'm gonna just, normally you would make this in a chawan, but I'm just gonna mix mine in this little cupping bowl. These bowls are actually the bowls that you would officially use for cupping tencha. So you would actually put the tencha leaves in here, and then you would,
when I'm traveling, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, when I'm traveling, I just look for the widest cup in the cupboard, or a small bowl.
I guess it's hard to travel with these guys. So I'm just gonna make the Culinary.
Yeah. So you can see that not frothing up very well. I found that that's definitely a problem with when I'm trying to get a nice texture from my matcha, is that the froth doesn't really appear. Now, if I just did the same ratio, 1 gram,
45 grams of water into what would be more of a fresher matcha. See, this is where it gets complicated. It's not really that this one is fresh. I mean, it is. I milled it recently, whereas the Culinary I get every 1 to 2 months. So it's milled for me when I order, but I keep it already pre-milled, whereas the rest of my matchas I mill myself. So I buy as tencha and then mill them down. So for JagaSilk, and again, Culinary and Ceremonial, to come back to that, is really an internally sort of applied nomenclature. It's not something that there's some sort of like official standard on this is Culinary, this is Ceremonial. I've literally sold our industrial grade organic matcha to a company before. It was private labeled by them, and they called it Ceremonial matcha, and it sold really well for them. And it's not that they were cheating. It's just that it was a lot better. What they had from us was a lot better than what they were getting from this other company. So to them, it felt like a ceremonial matcha. Whereas for me, like when I'm buying a matcha, like I just was able to confirm that these guys were both the same on the grind gauge. They were both 7.5 microns, under 10. And yet when I whisked them up, definitely seeing this one here, the Culinary, I should put them how they were originally. The one on the left here, the Culinary, my left, that one was not frothing up very well. And when I drink them,
what water
very
temperature?
Acidic, 65 degrees.
Oh, which one's acidic?
The Culinary. Now, what's interesting is that it has an interesting sort of roasty aromatic. It's got complex flavor. It's a little light. So I always thought that there was stems in it. There still could be. I'm actually surprised that the grind gauge measured it as fine as it did. I always assumed that our Culinary was just milled with the stems or something in it. But that may not be the case.
You probably have really good Culinary matcha.
Yeah, well, the thing is that when it's called Culinary matcha, a lot of the time it's not even really milled tencha, right? They'll mill something else like sencha or gyokuro, and even some random green tea. You'll see like jasmine matcha or something, so they just take jasmine and powder it. But that's not technically a matcha, right? So yeah, whereas this one,
yeah,
it's got more umami. There's some really nice aromatics. It's got a nice texture. Yeah, it's noticeably greener. I mean, that's very obvious from looking at it, right? But yeah, our Culinary is interesting because it's also where you kind of have your grade window, right? Like we've always had, when we started, we were doing this whole thing where we had what we called, I think it was Feather Robe 5000 or something like that, and we had like a green grade, and we had a silver grade and a gold grade, and they were just different blends of different cultivars from this one major corporation in Japan. And we, as we learned, we changed to buying directly from different farmers and stuff, and going more direct and everything. And that's definitely made for, I think, a better product, but it's also sort of exposed us to a little bit more, how do you say, it's exposed us to different definitely different qualities. And it got to a point where I remember we would have this product line, something that was kind of equivalent to the Culinary matcha I have here, and people would ask for it because they wanted to pay less. But I wasn't proud of it. I would sell it to people, and I would be like, you should really be using this other one. They were like, I know, but I'm making lattes with it, or I'm making cookies with it, or I'm making ice cream with it. But the color wasn't very good, and it was the most common one we were selling. So everybody was buying this cheap one from us for our cafe customers, and that's where so we're trying to differentiate ourselves as this, careful company with sourcing and stuff, and yet the matcha being consumed that was sort of representing for us was stuff that we wouldn't drink ourselves. And so we made a big decision, I think it was in around 2008, and we just were like, we're done. We just stopped carrying anything that we wouldn't drink ourselves. And that immediately
Wow.
raised prices for everybody like 30%. But it was also around the time of the financial crisis, so we had to raise prices anyways. And then we
Wow.
yeah, so it was interesting. So we but as we've learned, definitely, like, even what we call our cafe standard, it's not really based off of what it used to be, where I was going for like a particular flavor profile and trying to match that. It's really just a reflection of what we pay for it. So if we get better and better relationships where we're paying less, we're just charging based off of what we pay for it. A good example is like Kyoto, is a very famous region, and if you buy anything from there, it's going to be like 20-30% more than the same quality product from down south in Japan, where
Mm.
production is less renowned. So you almost pay this Kyoto tax to get a product like specifically matcha. And there's a reason for that. It's a lot
What?
harder to grow tea in Kyoto because everything's on slopes, so they can't use the new machines. Whereas in down south, they
Oh.
can machine harvest, and it's way cheaper to produce. Less people, less labor, more total production,
Uh,
right? Supply and
what
demand.
is the where's the semi oh sorry, one more question and then I
Yeah, yeah,
do have to run
yeah,
for
yeah. Sure.
um but what is the region that this particular semi bee is growing? By the way, it's like heaven. It's like it feels like I'm having a chocolate bar, but
Isn't that
like
amazing? Yeah, like
without
that
the
one.
sugar, which is nice.
We sell that one on our webpage for a little under $60 for 20 grams, 10 servings. It's an incredible matcha. Like that is a like we kind of
Yeah.
call it internally like competition grade because we're trying to stay away from using terms like ceremonial. Um,
Yeah.
but it's grown down south in Fukuoka. It's Mr. Takaki, if you remember him.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I remember him, yeah.
yeah, you've actually met him on JagaVision, right? A few times. So, yeah,
Yes.
and he's yeah, he does such an awesome job. And that particular tea, I would say we would call yeah, ceremonial. So just to recap, culinary, ceremonial are creations of the North American market. The word
Hmm.
culinary is used in Japan. I have personally never seen the word ceremonial used to sort of qualify a matcha in Japan.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
either
Interesting.
matcha or it's not. And matcha is by its very nature a ceremonial tea. So if you want to encourage people to not use it in tea ceremony, you could apply the word culinary. What you're saying with that language is that it is a lower quality product, less green, more grassy, harder to froth up, um, thinner, all of these things that you're going to sort of, when you're looking at quality for a matcha, you're going to use in your assessment. It's just going to be on the lower part of that equation. But just because it's a lower grade, etc., doesn't mean it's bad. There are still applications for it. Personally, I like to kind of
Yeah.
make it a part of a larger group of flavors. So if I'm going to use a whole bunch of, if I was going to
Yeah.
make like a tonic where I was going to have like honey and like bee pollen and turmeric and black
Yeah.
pepper, and I was going to do all this like medicinal thing, I would probably use this rather than, But if I was going to do something simple with one or two ingredients, I would stick with with our lower grades, what we call our cafe standard internally, because you can taste it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, you do need
Yeah,
to
that
go,
makes
but
sense.
this does make sense. So you're drinking JagaSilk's competition grade matcha.
It's unbelievable. I will say, like, I've made this for friends while I travel, and every time I make Sammy B, they fall in love with it.
They've blown away, right? Like it is a pretty like
They
mind
come,
blowing
yeah,
matcha. Yeah, like
it's
some
like
of
a
the others,
spiritual experience.
they're all I think really good, but see, Samidori blend has been blended for perfection. Like that,
It's so good.
it's going for this like full flavored flavor structure. So you get
Mm.
this like richness, you get a little bit of
Wow.
florality, you get a little bit of
Wow.
bitters, a lot of umami and smooth sweetness, and a nice toasting. So that it's just got that perfect amount of
Chocolate.
Maillard to bring out that chocolate flavor. Yeah, and especially with cold water, you're gonna get no bitters. It's gonna be all fruit, floral,
Oh, is that
chocolate.
what's happening?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. It's like room temperature water.
Sure. So you're
My
not going to unlock
gosh,
the
this is
acidity, which could, in my opinion, adds more to, and it is a little bit more medicinal to drink it with a little bit of hotter water, but it's a lovely way to
okay.
have it without. So yeah, and I like to. One thing you can do in the summer or in Costa Rica, you should do this: whisk and then just float a single ice cube in it. It's so cool. in cold water, and
Ooh.
then you just drink it like that. Or sometimes I switch out
Okay.
the water with like, don't do this with the Sami Dirty blend, but maybe with like a cafe standard. You could do some fresh squeezed juice and use your beat up whisk and just whisk in the juice with the matcha instead of water, and that's really nice too.
Oh,
Yeah, it gets your
that's actually a good purpose for this whisk. Is like if I want to mix other things other than water, I can use the beat up whisk.
just soak it in hot water afterwards. It's gonna get really dirty, and it's a terrible thing to do to a
Yeah,
whisk. But yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
fun.
I know. I
Yeah,
can't. I don't ever do that with like lattes or like with the. I have two. I have two like. But look at the like half of it. No, I won't point. Half of it is in
yeah.
perfect, really good shape, and the other half is just disappeared because
Yeah, it can happen. It probably something
I
went on
squished
it,
it.
like it was in like a suitcase scenario. When I travel with them,
Yeah,
I put them in a 500 milliliter mason jar, and then I
yeah,
then I wrap the whisk with paper towel or a rag, or like a cleaning cloth, and then I just put it in the jar, and then I wrap the jar in clothes, and that's how I travel with my whisk. But I also have like a nice
nice.
box that one of our old staff members, if you remember Vladimir, made for us. So that's also a nice travel
How could I ever forget Vladimir?
yeah, amazing. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so if people want to find Sister Speak music and want to, if they're in Costa Rica, you want to tell us about. I heard word on the street that you're going to be playing some shows while you're off
Yeah.
in South or I guess Central America.
Yeah, gonna be taking the winter mostly off, but there's word on the street of some possibilities in Samara Beach, Costa Rica,
Okay,
this December. So just finalizing all the details. We'll be heading out there next week.
and if people want to get those details when they are available, where should they go?
Sisterspeakmusic.com would be the spot. And then gonna be doing summer tour next year, but really taking it a lot lighter over the winter. Just
Of course, yeah.
being a little more cautious than usual this winter. The summer tour was a lot. It was really fun. It was just
From the outside
a
looking
lot of
in, it
pressure.
looks amazing, super fun, but super intense. So
Yeah,
I
it was intense with the world situation. Like the pressure to like stay healthy for everybody and get A to B, and
which you managed.
it was
One time you lost three
yeah.
drummers in a week, right? Like it was just
Yeah, yeah. I
not to
three,
death.
two,
By the way,
two
those ones.
drummers and
This was COVID and
no, no.
hunger.
God, no. They all were okay, but yeah, two drummers and a bassist in 1 week all got COVID. So I did a lot of the tour solo, and then my bandmates met out, and duo as well. My guitarist, and it worked out. Everybody was okay. They had time to heal, thankfully.
And
Um,
people can watch one of those shows on our YouTube channel. Actually, if you go to the musical tea
yeah,
series and you look up Sister Speak, we have an archived performance that the whole band coming down to. It was a sold out show. Lovely, lovely,
Hmm.
lovely, lovely vibe, and just great energy and a really good sound. I was so stoked. I remain stoked at
that
how
was
awesome that show was. So, yeah.
that was so fun. That was so fun. Well, I can't wait to come back to Victoria in
Hmm.
the winter,
Amazing. Yeah.
and
Maybe we can have an in-person session
well,
here. Well, I kind of
that'd
set
be
up that
cool.
here, and we can drink some tea if we're all healthy and careful.
Yes, that sounds wonderful.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for bringing our tea around the world with you, and for all the wonderful posts you do on our tea. I was just talking to one of our marketing people, and they're like, "You should team up with like somebody who like uses their voice for a living and develop like a collaborative tea or something." And I'm like, check. Check. So you can go to our website and you can get Singer's Delight, which is a collaborative tea with Sister Speak, and you need to do that. So and we'll probably figure out something for your, maybe we'll do like a tour code or something for those. You can tell them if they put in this code, then they can get 10% off that Sister Speak tea. We'll talk. We'll talk.
That'd be cool.
Okay. All right.
That
Cool.
would be great.
Okay, amazing. Have a wonderful, wonderful
Woo!
time in Costa Rica. Big hugs.
Thank you.
Okay,
Big hugs.
bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was Sister Speak joining us from, I guess it was Tampa on her way to Costa Rica. So that was really fun. We got to drink some matcha together. We got to talk about the difference between culinary and ceremonial matcha. And go into a little bit of detail there. I was actually just recently asked by one of our one of the folks who does who works for a courier service that we work with. He's a really nice guy. So Kyle had asked us, hey, what's the difference? I heard that there's a difference, and we were talking about it, and I thought it would be great to talk about on the show because we get asked this question quite a lot, and it is definitely self-enforced, self-decided on what you consider to be your higher and lower qualities. And again, ceremonial, culinary, it's just another way of saying this is my lower grade stuff that I wouldn't drink normally, but I mix with things. And this is ceremonial, means it's the higher grade stuff, but you can use that in your ice cream. I would actually encourage it. If you have 1 or 2 ingredients, use the good stuff. If you have tons of ingredients, maybe you don't need to. But yeah. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Well, I'm really happy to be able to continue these shows. We're again on episode 124. Please go back and check out all of our old shows. We have some great talks. We have also a really interesting slate that we're developing for December. I've been taking it easy for September, October, and having less guests on, but we have a goal to bring back that element of the show where I have a little bit more of my featured guests on. And then at the end of December, we'll be taking a little break and coming back in mid-January. So keep watching. We'll see you for the next, I guess it's going to be 3 shows before we take a break. So we'll see you next week, Thursday, 2 p.m. JagaVision. I'm Jared Nyberg. Go to jagasilk.com. Get yourself one of our matchas. Go and grab that samidori blend that Sherri Anne was drinking. I think we still have some single cultivar samidori you could check out. There's a beautiful Yabukita Ame Furi by Takaki. Lots of great options for you to check out. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.